All right. Welcome to Gen X Rated Tuesday edition. How we doing, Billy?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Kind of cold and gloomy day.
Okay.
Um, Gas prices seemingly went up to almost $5 a gallon here overnight.
I just paid 4.40 this morning. I didn't need much gas, but I figure I better keep topping it off while I can. Uh, Ohio's up to $6 a gallon in some places. Wisconsin, the same thing. Also, Wisconsin's finding that some places are short on supply of gasoline.
Yeah, that I'm sure that's going to be coming next. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because normally it'll be a bad pump. You'll see the plastic bag over the spout, but yeah, I've run into it a couple times already where they're out of gas, and then the left, right side of your car, whatever side your tank's on, if it's not convenient, you just leave.
Yeah.
I mean, what am I doing? So that's kind of a surprise, but not really. I mean, the CEO of Chevron is warning of shortages. Europe's going to have flight cancellations, and U.S. will feel price pressures. And I know this regime tells us, hey, we don't need the oil, we don't need the oil. But when you have supply outages in general, it's a global market.
Hmm.
You're going to feel it. It's going to happen. So
Yeah. And again, all over nothing. So a bunch of pedophiles don't get exposed.
that's exactly right. Keep coming back to that because it is. It's the Epstein files they don't want out. Which is even more ridiculous when you see Trump today had a bring your kid to work day. Um, Extremely strange to see him surrounded by so many children. I better put that up. He just doesn't know how to talk to kids, or he doesn't care. One child was saying how she plays volleyball. I think she was like 5 or 6. You can see how small they are. And soccer. And he said, are you pretty good at spiking? Are you a good jumper? And she said, no, not really. And he was like, maybe stick with soccer. um, what are you saying? She went on and asked him if they knew about Barack Hussein Obama. Also talked about Iran and how they couldn't have a bomb because they would try and blow us up. I mean, it was like his greatest hits. It was pretty impressive things happening here.
Well, yeah, when your
So
parents get tired of listening to this guy, just blather on to the kids.
yeah, it was about sports and physical fitness. So of course, RFK Jr. was there. The defense secretary was there. Everybody was there, right? Because they're not doing anything else. The Linda McMahon was there. Education, I can see that tie-in, I guess. But like, these guys don't have real jobs apparently, except grifting as much as they can while we're not paying attention. Uh,
Hmm.
it's just crazy. So of course, Trump had to take him out to the putting green, and oof, hopefully they didn't observe any of his skills or internalize them because he was bad. Could not make a putt. Finally had to turn over to a professional, and he's just a bad golfer. He's just bad. I mean,
He
I don't know how
says,
you hide
"Oh,
it.
you're the greatest golfer ever."
Yeah, well, the RFK part was talking about a 50-mile hike, and of course, Trump, everything's about him. So he was like, "Hey, you didn't mention my name," and he's like, "Wow, when you walk around the golf course 9 miles every day, of course you'd do it in a breeze, 50 miles." It's like you guys are so delusional.
Such blatant ass kissing. First of all, every shot of Trump you see on the golf course when he's not swinging his club, he's in a cart.
Yes, true.
So he walks from the cart to his ball.
Yeah, but he does it amazingly with such power in every step, and
Oh,
it's just
such walking like nobody's ever seen before.
it's pretty
Sir,
fantastic.
you're great. You're the greatest walker. You could easily walk. You could probably walk 50 miles on your hands if you wanted to.
Yeah, of course. And just to finish up with oil, the last shipment of oil has arrived in the U.S. Um, that's it, no more. So these cargo ships that aren't coming anywhere else aren't coming here either. There was talk of maybe $15 a gallon oil. We'll see. For gas, rather, we'll see. But when it stops coming, then it becomes even more of a commodity. And if you're at the low end of the totem pole, you're not likely to fill up. But
Well, you're going to upset a lot of people because, one of the things that Gene always said was Americans like cheap food and cheap gas, and they're getting neither anymore. So we'll
Yeah,
see how that goes over.
but you have to have a bigger plan when you're worried about upsetting people. Maybe take away their voting rights. Maybe
We don't like the way they're going to vote. So you know what? Let's just take it away.
pretty much. We'll talk about that too. Post-Trump, I just want to say oil is up 44%. Gas is up 20%. Orange juice is up 25%. Coffee's up 20%. And airline fares are up 17%. So everything's gone up. This guy guaranteed everything would go down within weeks. He's still
Just
talking
his
about
approval rating.
He's not buying into that either. He feels that that's a lie. But the proof is kind of in the pudding. We're looking at well, just the farmers. It's going to be an issue. I mean, 70% of the farmers now say they can't afford to grow all their crops. So now we got to pick and choose. Bankruptcies are up 46% with farmers since 2025.
And these people voted for him too.
And I think they still support him, oddly enough.
Well, if they're still waiting for their farm bailout, they're going to have to they're going to keep waiting.
Well, they don't seem to mind. You have 500,000 farmers with no fertilizer for 2026. That's 1 in 4. That's quite a bit when it comes to wanting to eat. So we'll see. But this is, food scarcity doesn't start when you go to the grocery store and it's not on the shelves. It starts when the farmers can't grow stuff. It starts when you can't import stuff at a reasonable price. And we'll see how it goes. May start with gas. Like I said, some of the pumps were empty where I've been. Maybe the shelves will be next. I did notice today at the grocery store that there were quite a few things that weren't available. I go pretty early, so I always tend to think maybe it's because they haven't restocked the shelves, but who's to say?
Yeah.
So
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
At least be aware of it. And the care is just not really there for you and I.
No, absolutely not. They don't care.
We did talk about the voting rights just as a way to kind of keep us at each other, or at least not being able to vote. We just saw the Supreme Court with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which they gutted. It was reaffirmed, as we talked about last Thursday, under Reagan in '82 against his better judgment, because God knows he wasn't for it. But he was pretty much pressured. But prior to '82, you only had 1,500 Black elected officials in the entire country. And that was the decade before the passing in 1982 of this amendment to the Voting Rights Act. Within 30 years, that number grew to 9,000 Black Congress people. Today, we're up over 10,000. Clearly, that was too much of a threat for the Supreme Court. So they decided to say, hey, you know what? Racism's no longer a thing. Don't worry about it. We don't need to fight it because racism's dead. So look the other way.
Nothing to see here.
So they took that protection away from the amendment, the statute that, again, Reagan reluctantly signed. It was the crown jewel of the, of American liberties, essentially, that everybody has a vote. Doesn't matter your skin color. But as we saw, Louisiana stopped their election primary that had already started. I want to say in one statistic I saw, 35,000 Dems had voted, 32,000 Republicans had already voted. Those things will be gone. And if you look at overall statistics in Louisiana, 1 in 3 people are Black. Mississippi, 2 in 5 are African American, Black. North Carolina, 1 in 5. Tennessee, 1 in 6. These people will no longer have representation. Tennessee is going as far as to repeal the 1970s law barring redistricting in between censuses, which is what got us all started here. It's every 10 years, you do the census, you see where people are living, you redistrict your maps. But Trump started this trend by being the first one to be like, hey, let's change it now. Why not? It's just not really good for any of us. We saw them cancel the election in Louisiana. Is this a dry run for November that we can now do this?
Probably, yeah. And, and you can't call this a democracy anymore when you have a country that is led by the whims of one person, one demented and clearly unbalanced person, and whatever he comes up with, they decide to go along with that. That is not a democracy. When they're actively taking away your vote, your right to vote, and canceling your vote for those that have already voted in Louisiana, it's not a democracy. Democracy is fucking, it's in a chokehold here.
Yeah, that is not what democracy looks like. Alabama's soon to follow with the canceling of the election, and just pointing out the fact that we didn't stop elections during the Civil War, World War II, even COVID. But of course, mail-in turned into the boogeyman because, of course, it did. Though Trump still voted mail-in with his wife and son. So, it's all to what works best for him.
Yeah, it's just rigged. This whole thing is rigged now. Again, just to keep Trump in office and to cover up pedophilia, massive pedophilia that's in the Epstein files.
And yesterday he said he might stick around 8 or 9 years. He's not sure.
If he thinks he's sticking around on this planet for 8 or 9 years, he's insane.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. That seemed kind of ludicrous.
I mean, look at this guy.
Even think that, but it starts at the top and then the craziness trickles down. That maybe trickle down economics was a bunch of malarkey, but this seems to be sticking and polluting everything. Nebraska became the first state to implement work requirements for Medicaid recipients because of waste, fraud, and abuse, of course.
Oh, of course.
The big, beautiful bill. But there's studies that show that there's no monetary savings in doing this. Instead,
it actually costs them more to do all the paperwork to check on people and see what they're doing and if they're working. Yeah, it's just the real waste, fraud, and abuse is coming from the people that set up these plans.
Yeah, absolutely right. What it does do is leads to immense harm and death because people just don't get health care. Who are they going to complain to? What are they supposed to do about this?
Yeah, and
go ahead.
The people in charge don't care.
They do not care. The Urban Institute's estimating that 10 million people will lose Medicaid by 2028. Keeping in mind it's 2026 right now. This is called structural eugenics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's exactly what it is.
Kind of scary that we're okay with this. It starts maybe, like we said, in Nebraska, but then, we have something coming up on the Missouri election where we voted for minimum wage and we voted for paid time off. And once it passed at the ballot box, the representative said, hey, we know better. I'm not raising minimum wage and you don't really need time off. I'm a small business owner. I know better.
Yeah.
So now we have to put on the ballot to vote that they can't do that. If the will of the people voted on this, you have to implement it. You can't just not do it, which seems kind of redundant because I feel like we just did this and we voted for it. Now we got to vote to confirm that you can't change the plan.
Oh yeah, no, this is just so fucked up. It's just circular logic, and it's like a maze that you can't get out of. They just, put up barrier after barrier and redirect you into another fucking dead end.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. And I don't know how people are going to gather to help one another because eventually you just run out of patience and you just give up. Like, hey.
Well, yeah, and it's like we talked about in the werewolf game. You have to agree on indisputable facts, and then you can start to, get together. But when you're so divided, when you've got people watching Fox News saying, oh, they're ripping me off those SNAP benefits and those Medicaid and Medicare people. Well, that crowd loves their Medicare, so. But, I was talking with one of my clients who's older, and, they're paying a shit ton for their Medicare Advantage coverage, and they're not, getting less for it.
Yeah. That is for sure. We don't invest in people anymore. To your point, the widow of Corey Compertour, the fireman that was killed at Butler, finally did an interview, and she felt that Biden was directly involved in the killing of her husband. So I only mention that because you talk about the illusion and the delusion. This woman was paid from a Trump LLC $5 million. And you think Biden directly had something to do with an assassination attempt on him. Like, I don't understand.
I don't know, and
Do
I'm
you
sure it
believe
is.
that?
I believe anything now, and I'm sure it's hard to turn down $5 million when you've lost your husband, but to take it from the people that did it and blame somebody who had absolutely nothing to do with it. I guess it's easy for me to sit here and say, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is wrong with you, lady? How dare you? But again, your husband's been murdered, and $5 million is a lot of money. So
It is. I listen to a lot of true crime though, and sometimes it's the reaction of the people. Those 911 calls, you can't always tell. You can think but you never know how somebody's going to react in a certain situation. But a loss like that, that was so public, and how it went down, you would think you would really want to dig for the truth, right? Like, how could this happen? How were so many people on the radios telling somebody that the guy was on the roof, et cetera, et cetera? We do nothing about it. The guy gets shot, Trump, and goes to the ER, and there's nothing noted, no documentation, no nothing.
yeah.
I would be digging even more. Like, how did this happen? I just lost my husband. Like, what the fuck? $5 million is great, but wouldn't there be some curiosity as to why?
You would think so, but by the same token, once he wasn't useful for them anymore, once they stopped trotting around that coat and got what they wanted out of the election, they didn't care. They stopped returning her calls. They didn't give her any more information. So, who am I to say, what somebody should do or shouldn't do? But it is very discouraging, and at the same time, it's not surprising with how despicable these people are.
No, that was a network interview. I also saw article from the AJC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which is no longer in print, talking about how the Republicans are firmly behind Trump in Georgia. And again, like, I have to always consider the source. AJC is no longer in print. They're being run by, fill in the
I don't even know who's being. At one time, it was a very good newspaper, though.
It was. Yeah, for sure. As was the Washington Post. I did see that the writer who got a Pulitzer was the one that Trump's people came in and raided her house and took her cell phones and her computers and everything. There's still really good people in journalism. It's just a matter of what we actually get to see and hear based on who's running that media.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a real problem, obviously. And most people aren't okay with it. But what do you do about it at this point? We're going to find out, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to find out. I'm not very optimistic about it, that's for sure. But, if people can stick to one thing, if you can agree that, the things you're paying for are becoming more unaffordable, you're having less money left over at the end of every month, then maybe you should start to vote accordingly, despite whatever you're reading.
Yeah, absolutely. You should definitely feel it at home. The U.S. Treasury is borrowing $189 billion this quarter. Inflation's based off how much money we're printing. That was $79 billion higher because we had lower projections of net cash flow. We don't have cash flow that's not going into Trump's coffers at this point. The average American has about $6,700 in credit card debt. And I just want to point out that the Trump IRA that we talked about, for the people that don't have one through work, originally was started under Biden. Sure, nobody cares, but this guy will slap his name on anything. Case in point, the Palm Beach International Airport, which officially is now called the Donald J. Trump International Airport. There was a new contract with that airport that they had to purchase all their Trump merchandise through the Trump's own licensing team. That's in direct conflict with the emolument clause, but like, we're way beyond that.
Yeah, that is.
It's just crazy. So he's going to make money off that. We're talking about printing more money because of a negative net cash flow based on this guy, and yet we're being asked to the East Wing replacement. They want to put inside the immigration bill is $1 billion for the East Wing replacement. And that's all taxpayer money. This started as $200 million. I'll raise it myself. $400 million. I got this. Now it's $1 billion, and you and I are paying for it.
Yeah, and let's not, let's not lose sight of the fact that our tax dollars are supposed to go for the betterment of our country.
Yeah.
And instead, it's all just going for the betterment of the Trump family and his cronies. And, again, we've said this before, they're running this country like a hedge fund. They have taken over, they're sucking everything of value out of it, enriching themselves, and they're going to leave a fucking hollowed out shell.
Yeah, where we all want to choke each other out. To that point, Delta will no longer offer snacks or drinks on all flights less than 350 miles. Keeping in mind that their CEO, Ed Bastian, received $27.1 billion or $1 million salary, but no drinks for you. I assume the cart will just be smaller. You got to give the people in first class something. They're going to get thirsty.
Yeah.
But I think you've flown recently. You maybe get a couple of those tiny cookies. If you do get a bag of pretzels, there's probably about 15 in there, if you're lucky. And that's being generous. I saw today a woman bought 100 pack of screws at Home Depot. It had 73 screws in them. 73. There was a little shortage, which is basically fraud, is it not? Like,
it is fraud, but they probably figured, what, who counts these?
that's 27% less than what she thought she was paying for.
That's bullshit.
Pretty good number. But hey, Home Depot's a huge Republican donor, so we'll just look the other way.
Nothing to see here.
Literally nothing to see here. I did want to point out that 70 and 80-year-olds in our culture are seen as unemployable due to their physical and mental decline. Yet we have 70 and 80-year-olds running our country.
Yeah, very poorly, running it into the ground.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I will note that Congress is in recess till May 12th. They work a third of the time. They get 100% pay, and they get great health care. So I just can't figure this one out. But.
And as much as you can skim off the top.
Yeah, the grift is always real. I saw an interesting stat that it's $47,000 to $65,000 a year to incarcerate one person. Hopefully they have a basketball hoop and you're not spending 23 hours in solitary confinement. But the opposite is it costs about $16,500 a year to educate one person. So we're spending like 3 times as much to incarcerate than we are to educate. And what they found is that an educated person with economic options is less reliable source of prison income. We talked about this leading after the election, that the prison industry, along with Holman, Tom Holman, the ICE guy who took his $50,000 in a kava bag, and
that ham-headed motherfucker, yeah.
He made a deal with a lot of private prisons. I mean, where are you going to put all these immigrants? So there's a lot of money involved in there, and it's a lot better than educating people. And then then it goes down to like zip code. If it's a inner city and you're going to have not as good as schools, you're putting these people on the slow track or fast track to the private prison industry. And I guess that's a great way to make money, but it's not a great way for a society to build, progress, and get better.
No, and before they went after immigrants, it was African Americans. I mean, the school to prison pipeline, it's a real thing, and it has been for a long time. I mean, and if you ever watched the documentary about the 13th Amendment, it's still basically legalized slavery.
And we talked about that, I want to say 6 months ago, down in Louisiana, those work camps where it's legal. We saw the guys on their horses with their guns, and pretty much everybody in that camp was black. One of the toughest camps they have, and it's essentially a work camp. So, we're succeeding at producing a prison population because I guess there's a lot of money in it. So that's why you would do it. Aside from, making money, what other point would there be?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole point of this country. It's just to make the morbidly wealthy even more morbidly wealthy, whether it's corporations or just individuals. But that's what it's all about. Well-connected individuals making money. And that is an oligarchy.
Yep, you're right.
Not a democracy.
Little mini Russia. I wanted to note that yesterday was the 56th anniversary of the Kent State shooting, another war that really had no purpose and was kind of started under false premise, the Tompkin bombing.
Tonkin Gulf.
Tompkin Golf, yeah, it seemed kind of made up at the time. But just as remembrance, you're looking at Alison Krauss. I think she was from Pittsburgh. She was 19. William Knox Schroeder was 19. Sandra Lee was 20. And Jeffrey Glenn Miller was 20. They don't look overly woke. They don't look like troublemakers. They look like people that were concerned and were doing their right to come out and protest.
Peacefully protest.
Well, instead, they got murdered. And I know you and I had looked through some of the interviews and such. And I mean, for what? This is what we were fighting for. And people said, hey, they got what they deserved, which really seemed insane to me. But
well, Alison Krauss's father was of that same mindset.
Yeah, that's terrible. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that was 56 years ago yesterday. It hasn't been forgotten. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, 4 dead in Ohio. And these could have been any college students out there with their protected right to protest.
Well, and students were murdered at Jackson State.
Absolutely right.
Just before that. And, that's the school that Walter Payton went to. It didn't get the attention that Kent State did, but it happened.
Yeah.
And, those young people had their lives taken away.
Yeah, for nothing, essentially. And here we are. We're still fighting the good fight on that. It's just crazy. Except now it's just all about money.
Well, they're taking us back to the old Confederacy.
Good times for some, not many. I did want to point out these data centers, which are still coming nonstop. They've now been classified as military operations. It basically strips the communities of any power to stop them.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
People aren't loving it. They start out in small communities and hope that there'll be less pushback. You are starting to see some video of the people that constant humming all night, or you get no nighttime sky because there's so much light light pollution that's coming off of these things. You have a project in Texas, Matador, all these cool names. The Stratos project in Utah, that's a Kevin O'Leary thing. The interesting
guy.
Yeah. Light all day, noise, pollution, the cost of it.
Sucking up resources.
Yeah. They go into these town halls and the people are outraged, but they have no say. If the council votes yes, then hey, unless it's like Festus where you have the election 2 days later and you can vote them all out, they're going to do what they want to do. And there's got to be a financial reason for that as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, but, we've talked about this before. They have to keep pumping that bubble up. They have to keep pumping money into it because as soon as they stop, it's going to collapse because this is not the moneymaker they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we have somebody said a 1 in 3 chance that, the population will benefit from this without there being like a major windfall for those that are doing the most investing in this, pumping up this bubble, which is mainly the billionaires. Mm-hmm. And that would be a nice landing for us. I don't know if that's how it's going to work out because the other one, things start to go sideways and you have a real problem. Scott Galloway was talking about this. He's a billionaire that often speaks out against billionaires because he's pretty pragmatic. And I think, he's the first to admit the money that he made. He's not denying any of that, but at least it seems like he has some kind of conscience. But he talked about how the billionaires, and he named several by name, have this escape plan, their little doomsday escape plan. So the same people that are making AI and forcing it upon us and killing our planet are ready to bail when things go sideways, which is very disheartening. We already know Zucker's got a place in Hawaii that he's built out. Peter Thiel during COVID bought a place in New Zealand, built it out on the coast. Larry Page, I guess, Fiji, Altman is in Big Sur. And if that doesn't work out, he's going with Thiel to New Zealand because he's got plenty of room. It's just crazy that you have 1 in 3 billionaires has a fully funded plan to abandon civilization when things collapse. I mean, they're already detached from society currently.
Oh, yeah. And it's a collapse that they're speeding us towards in pursuit of more wealth. And yeah, it's just, dude, and we've talked about this before. Like, you better keep an eye on your security detail, because once they realize that the money that you're paying them has no value, it's the stuff that you have that they're going to want.
For sure. 40% of the S&P, since Trump always talks about the stock market, is tied to AI. It's a giant percentage. And you're absolutely right. In fact, he did point out and said, hey, what's to stop the pilot? Because you're going to go to a place and already designed in San Diego to fly you to your destination. What's to keep the pilot from murdering you and taking your wife as his own? That was the comment. I didn't make that up. But
sounds very Trumpian.
Yeah, it seems legit. I think it would be a worry. Gene said that your security detail all of a sudden realizes they just need your fingerprint to get in there. Well, that's easy enough. I just wear his finger around my neck.
Yeah.
I don't know where the boss is, but I know how to get into his stuff.
Oh, he went into the wood chipper.
So to that end, in this detachment from society, somebody shared with me an article about the uber wealthy needing private schools for themselves. So there's a real estate developer, Jeff Green, who moved from California to Florida, and a lot of the private schools were full. And these kids need a better private school. I mean, his dad's super wealthy, so they're going to start opening their own. Now keep in mind, DeSantis did take school vouchers up to $8,000 for private schools. Not enough. So these billionaires have started to make their own K through 12 schools just for their kids. They'll have a flight simulator, sailboats, 3D printing. So these uber wealthy are reshaping schools for their kids. Now, keep in mind, this is just getting started. The schools may be 50 grand a year, which is nothing. Take your DeSantis money as well. So that helps if you're going to get a voucher. But they're, it's just amazing numbers for this guy to first, he has to secure the land. So he spent $440,000 on, I don't know, I think it was a car dealership or something, just to have the space. Then you got to build on it. Then you got to pay educators to come because they got to be top of the line. But again, it's all separate from normal society and the rest of us. It's just kind of crazy. And it's not just this one guy, but I will point out that this real estate developer, Jeff Green, is 85. So it's, come on, man. Well, I know Trump thinks he'll be around another 8 or 9 years, whatever. It seems silly, but you're 85. Like, you're going to make it to 100. Your kid's going to get to 6th grade. Like, what are you doing? Maybe better the schools around you. Maybe pay public educators that kind of money. Why are they so much better than these other kids just because of their situation? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, well, it's just, again, it's the same mindset of the old Confederacy. The people at the top were known as the quality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how they addressed themselves. They were the quality. So, the quality has to raise quality children. But, we've already seen that in a form here with like these hockey academies where people are paying 20, 30 grand a year to send their kid to school at the rink. Well, you'll do some online learning. You'll hang out with other hockey kids. You'll get all kinds of coaching and ice time. Chances of making it to the NHL, probably still pretty slim, but maybe you'll get that college scholarship. If not, they're probably going to laugh at your transcript. But again, you're seeing this. These people separating themselves because they can afford to. I mean, are you really raising a well-rounded kid when all he's around are other wealthy hockey kids? And I love hockey, don't get me wrong. We've been involved in sport as players, as coaches for a long time.
Sure.
But the great lessons of the game are not to separate yourself and focus solely on hockey.
It's silly. I mean, just as a crossover example, the Steelers tackle that they drafted out of Arizona State has played football for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like he did nothing but play football growing up. One sport, you just aren't that talented across the board. Crosby can hit a baseball. We've seen him in batting practice, hitting home runs. He can throw a football. We've seen him throwing footballs through the ring when they did their, whatever that event was.
Oh, yeah.
type of thing. I mean, he's a wonderful all-around athlete. Those guys with their soccer balls, it's pretty impressive. I don't think they grew up just going to one hockey academy.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the best way to raise a well-rounded and athletic kid. Let him play all kinds of sports.
Sure, I agree.
And again, chances of your kid being a professional athlete are very slim.
Yeah, good point. I just wanted to put up a couple photos before we move on from the uber rich. This is with there is a company that builds a lot of these properties. They are way underground. They have their own water system. They have their own food system. And they're really going to go far here. So that's pretty impressive. Or you can live next to this. You choose. Wait a minute.
I don't care how luxurious your vault is. Eventually, you are going to run out of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, there may be a lot more water because there's less people left on the surface, but how much of that water is going to be actually drinkable?
I know, right? Probably none of it. Crazy. But it looks beautiful. Or again, you can live with the rest of us in this place.
In this place, yeah, this hellhole that we're creating, so the morbidly wealthy can become even wealthier and more.
And that
twisted.
says nothing about water quality, air quality, etc. So
yeah, they don't care.
They
do not care.
I wanted to bring up this Pringles. We had talked about this a little bit about everything just being unreal at this point. These are Pringles. We used to be able to make duck face with them. That was kind of neat as a kid. Salty-licious, and for us, it was kind of a treat. You weren't buying Pringles necessarily, but they're no longer called potato chips. They're potato crisps, because I don't know how much potatoes actually in there, because it's not a potato chip; it's a crisp. McDonald's all along they've been called shakes because there's no milk involved. Same with Wendy's, and we've known that for their what is that thing called?
The Frosty.
Yeah, no dairy, so don't worry about that. The Klondike no longer has a chocolate shell. It's chocolate. What? It's a chocolate-y shell.
Oh, okay.
But it's not actual chocolate. And we saw this with the Reese's guy who was pissed off because the quality of chocolate at Hershey had fallen in the toilet. You're using very little. Dairy Queen, the whole menu just says treat. Doesn't mention ice cream at all. Just not a thing. Oreo, of course, the cream is spelled, CREME because it's not really cream.
Yeah, but I mean, there was never any cream involved in that Oreo cream filling, and there was never any ice cream involved in Dairy Queen. It was the soft serve.
Well, this is true, but you would still think soft serve would have some kind of dairy product to it. I mean, it's like ice cream, isn't it? What is it then? Just chemicals?
Pretty much.
Frozen and tasty?
Yeah.
They are delicious.
That's pretty much what you're getting.
Well, then here's something. Tyson came out with the WYNGZ, wings. It's processed chicken, but they are shaped like wings, WYNGZ. Like, you, really? But if I can't read very well, because most people can't read above a 6th grade level, wings, I can sound it out. I'm smart.
Not like everybody chicken. Says.
I know. And lastly, the Pearl Milling Company, which used to be known as Aunt Jemima, it's now called Original Syrup because it's not maple syrup. The first ingredient is corn syrup. So again, nothing's really what we're told anymore. There's really no reality to anything, it would seem like. I mean, I don't know. Make your own stuff at home, I guess. Sugar is still sugar, I guess, and flour is flour.
Well, yeah. Read the labels, and if there's a lot of things on there you don't recognize, maybe don't buy it.
I would agree. In fact, I got duped into buying vanilla, and it was just like a vanilla product. It wasn't actually, vanilla. It was some kind of byproduct. It smelled really good, but it wasn't actually vanilla. Because vanilla is pretty damn expensive, but you're only using a teaspoon or so at a time. But yeah, and I just can't use it because I don't exactly know what it is.
What the hell is that?
I mean, I'm a little like, I'm a little particular about what I eat, okay? Del Griffin, if you're going to offer me a Slurpee or...
How about a hot dog?
Maybe a Lifesaver, I don't know. But,
yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know what's in it, probably don't ingest it. It's probably not the best idea. We're ingesting enough stuff through our air quality and water quality as it is that maybe take a break on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Don't
know.
forget the plastics, microplastics.
Microplastics, which we're all about, and probably have tons and tons and tons inside us already.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel any different.
I feel
So anyway, I had some other stuff that I think I'm going to save. It's a little bit of a deeper dive, just based on things we've talked about, screen times for kids, toddlers, the amount we use in schools for educating and such, and its new tie to dementia. But I think I'll just leave that out till we can have more time to circle back on that.
yeah,
Dementia is a
that
real thing. I know we're not funding it anymore. I know RFK Jr. thinks it's a bunch of hoo-ha, and we'll no longer fund it because we could fund other things like how to make Trump a better golfer, or how to keep him alive forever. I don't know, but Alzheimer's real. I think a lot of families are dealing with it, and I just thought the point that it's the first time in our history that we've seen people's IQ go down. We got to start looking at some correlations and what this could be, and why our kids, read at such a low level, and why we just aren't as astute as the rest of the world in a lot of academic ways. So we'll talk about that maybe on Thursday if we have time.
Well, yeah, no, and I believe it. I mean, you see it. You talk to people. Attention spans are shorter. Short-term memory is getting shorter, and it's the screen time. And there was an article, I think it was, I want to say it was in the Washington Post a couple of weeks ago, just about how you can actually start to reverse that by doing a digital detox, by staying off. And it's not necessarily your screen time, but it's limiting your scrolling, because that's
Yeah.
where people run into trouble. You get on, and it happens to me too. I mean, YouTube Shorts show up, and they know what I like. You can get sucked down that rabbit hole really easily. So,
Well, it's entertaining for sure.
and that is what really shortens your attention span. You've got like, a 3 to 5 minute short, and you're moving on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And you're not really focusing on anything. It's just you're basically feeding your mind junk food.
I might not even make it through that 3 to 5 minutes, okay? Because I'm on
Yeah.
to the next one, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like how it was back in the day when you didn't have Sirius satellite and you were always changing the channel on your radio in the car. I mean,
We're doing the same thing with Sirius too. What's on the
just
Grateful
being
Dead
honest.
channel? Oh, let's see. Oh, let's go to Alt 2K.
There you go.
Classic rock. Yes, please.
Occasionally, you got to jump into the 70s if you want to really feel it.
Oh, yeah.
It
That's true.
happens. I just want to say in closing, before we revisit the screens and dementia, that you have a 400% rise in early onset dementia, and that these are signs among 35 to 44-year-olds. It's kind of like when we talked about colorectal cancer with these kids in their 20s and 30s. It's like, red flag. Look into it. Maybe your toddler shouldn't be on his phone 2 to 3 hours a day. We're finding teens 6 to 8 hours a day. That's being nice. A lot of these kids go to bed with it. And it is, we'll dive into it more later, but it is showing that it has an effect on the brain and it has effect on dementia. So we'll talk about it. I don't want to get too deep in it today. I know I'm over time with you already, but good stuff today. I don't really have a happy ending other than it's May 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. There you go.
Maybe I should be bringing margaritas to the skate tonight, but it's not warm enough.
Might not be a bad idea, but well, a friend of ours is in Minneapolis on business, and he's like, yeah, just my luck. I'm spending Cinco de Mayo in the whitest city in the country.
Yeah, it could be worse. We have another friend who's flying to Denver today. Boulder's getting 4 inches of snow. I think it's the most snow they've received in May in quite a while. And the mountains are getting 2 to 3 feet.
Well, maybe it'll be good. Maybe when it melts, it'll help to fill up some of those reservoirs. And because I know they're very dry out there.
And keep in mind, Colorado did not have a great ski season. They were limited on snow quite a bit. So better late than never, maybe. I don't know. But to your point, the water would be the biggest key. So hopefully that's going to be helpful because we're on our own.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, yeah. The wealthy have separated themselves, and we are definitely on our own. And not only that, they're not leaving us alone. They're actively making our lives harder.
Sure. I think that's just for fun. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a big fuck you.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I will let you go. Maybe I'll see you later. You'll just have to let me know. And as always, I appreciate your time letting me ramble on with you on some of this stuff that we find to be important.
Yeah, no, good job. Yeah, it's always, it's these things are hard to listen to and hard to talk about, but it's necessary. And so we're at least doing what we can.
Well, I appreciate you every day on that note. So wish you a good rest of your Cinco de Mayo, and look forward to catching up with you later.
All right, sounds good. Nice job.
Right. You too. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. All right, I'll see you.
See ya.